I'd just like to start with a thank you to Black and Brown Comics and Art Festival for having this and for continuing to hold space for us. I have a lot of gratitude for John Jennings and all of the organizers for holding this space, so thank you. My name is Tanna. I'm a local cartoonist and illustrator, and I'm super excited to be interviewing and holding conversation with some friends and peers of mine that I really admire. So we'll start with introductions. We're going to walk down the line, starting with Amber. I'll have you introduce yourself and talk about a current project that you're working on that you're really excited about.
Hi, I'm Amber Padilla. I live in Oakland, California. I'm originally from Orange County, from Santa Ana in Southern California. And I graduated with an MFA in comics from CCA. And currently I'm working on, I'm very nervous, just so you know. So yeah, I'm currently working on a really large project. I got a deal to illustrate a graphic novel for a very large publisher. And so like I'm in the process of working on that right now. I keep saying to people I have to go home after this and do some more pages. Yeah, I'm really excited about it. I can't talk too much about it, but it's a really lovely project, and I can't wait for people to see it.
My name is Avy Jetter. I am a textile artist, also a comics artist, zine maker, I guess, traditionally trained in painting and printmaking. I make a horror comic called Nothing Good Ever Happens at 4 a.m., which is a zombie story based in Oakland, California. I also write zines, personal zines, about mental health, wellness, PTSD. I'm currently working on, I just finished a zine about triggers and microaggressions, and I'm currently working on a zine about grief and loss and how to navigate that space. But yeah, I work anything sci-fi, horror related, anything weird I love to do, and I'm just starting to open myself up to talk about personal issues, so it's been really great to do zines about something non-fiction or something that isn't fiction, and so the next one.
Okay, well, thank you. My name is Sketch Smith, and I own a comic book shop here in the Mission Strip. And it's called, thanks. I paid that guy. I got your money right after. And it's called Hella Novella, and it is, it's at 19th and Mission Street. Please come on down. This many, yeah, you can all fit in there. Well, I'm billing it right now as the world's smallest comic shop. We're 71 square feet of independent comics. And yeah, it's a part of the community, it's about the community, so yeah, come on down. And I do a comic book called Dust Dead, and it's about an African-American woman who's cursed in the West. And it's about her struggles and the fact that we carry down these generational curses from our families, and how that affects us in real life. But, you know, hers is a demon, so, you know, not exactly, you know, the same thing, but yeah. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I've been here for about 15 years. I moved here from Las Vegas, and I'm originally from Jersey. See, he was supposed to woo on that too.
Sorry.
You lost $5.
I don't know how to follow up that. My name is Breena Nunez. From the Bay Area. I'm a cartoonist. And also educator. I've taught my first semester. It feels weird saying as a professor, like an adjunct professor at CCA, race and comics. I love my students. They were like the best students I've ever had, like in my entire career as an educator. And I'm going back to my alma mater, SFSU, next semester to teach in the Latino Studies department. Yay! And something that I'm working on slowly, not really chipping away at a memoir called Morena. It's about my first time going to El Salvador as somebody who was experiencing awkwardness as a 16-year-old and yeah, talking about some personal issues with, let's see, like some anti-Blackness in my community, and yeah, anti-Salvadoraness too. Also coming from like the zine community as well. I mostly do autobio, memoir stuff, just because I don't see enough memoir with Black and brown creators behind the books.
Awesome. Thank you. So why comics? As storytellers, what is it about this format, this medium, and community that feels really at home for you? And you can just jump out and answer as you feel. Yeah, you first.
So yeah, I mean, I grew up, really loving animation, and comics. I felt like were sort of the next step to that. I was one of those kids who hung out at Barnes and Noble in the manga aisle, reading Ranma 1/2, and just really, really loving that. And I watched like the X-Men cartoon series and Man the animated series, and so like those were my introductions to sort of the big two. And my dad was really into anime, so like he loved Robotech and Astro Boy and that kind of stuff. And so like I was really into manga when I was a kid, and I discovered that in manga you get a lot of like slice of life comics, and I was always really interested in reading about the life of teenagers. I still am. I still read a lot about that. And the coming of age story for girls, and and that sort of stuff is the kind of stuff I really love. Yeah.
I think because I started doing painting and textiles, I really forgotten about comics, and I come from a big family, and I purposely would imitate my brothers, who I have 4 brothers, and one would be the writer, one would do coloring, one would do penciling, and I remember, it's sort of nostalgic, I remember them doing that, having their own comic production. And so recently, I'd say recently, maybe 6 years ago, I remembered that, and someone challenged me to make comics, and it kind of became a kind of romantic thing to go back to that, and I'd forgotten I did comics in high school as well. And then also, kind of a segue, my grandmother would take time for me to do drawing, something to keep me busy, and that also kind of brings me back to that space, that quiet time with my grandmother. So that was really a good way to sort of remember the past and bring it into the future. So now, fast forward to 2012, like I said, was challenged to make a comic, and it sort of reminded me of those spaces, and I continued. I had no plans on making a full comic series, but that nostalgia, that romantic idea of being someone who self-publishes and inks and pencils and does all these things was a huge factor in me coming back to comics and telling stories that I had never seen before. Specifically in the horror and sci-fi genre, you typically, the black people usually die within 10 minutes of a horror movie. So I wanted to see a future where black people survived throughout the whole storyline. And so I made comics that featured a multitude of people of color, and specifically black people in the horror story. So my story has 4 protagonists that are all black. And my next comics also are all pretty much people of color, and also the story happens in Oakland, so they're going to traverse and meet Asians and Latinos, and so I wanted to create something that I rarely see either in books or TV, and so that's one of my biggest impetus for doing comics and continuing to do comics, because I still do portraits and I do textiles and other stuff, but comics specifically, I wanted to see myself represented in a way that I hadn't seen before.
Is that good? It's my turn, look.
I can tap you. I go, oh, and then
I like this.
that's the signal.
Okay, I was for next time.